So my name's Andy Tidy. I've owned this Series 1 Lotus Exige since March last year. It literally was a barn find where a friend of mine through the Lotus circles asked me if I knew anyone that was interested in a Series 1 Exige that needed quite a lot of work. It was literally languishing in the corner of a workshop, all the bodywork taken off, all the suspension taken off, looking pretty sorry for itself. I'd wanted one for many years, and this seemed like an ideal opportunity to get one and rebuild it in the way that I'd like it rebuilt. So I bought the car, had to put it back together to actually get it back home into the garage. Spent quite a bit of time going through all the parts. I had boxes and boxes of parts for it. Got it prepared for paint. Took the car to a company called Performance Refinishing, who, as you can see, painted it to an exceptional standard. I've had many comments on how good the car looks. I've refreshed all the suspension, rebuilt all the suspension on it, upgraded the dampers. And one thing that I've also, or a few things I've also done myself, is I design and make rapid prototype parts. So inside, as a supplement to the standard instruments, I've got a console with some analog gauges. You can probably see at the back of the car as well, because there's a cooling issue on track days. I've put some extra ventilation with a grill either side of the rear number plate. This car was originally obviously a K-Series VHPD powered car, but the previous owner in 2010 had it converted by Brooke Kensington to the Honda K20, which proves to be quite a bit more reliable and more drivable, which is nice. One of the things that I really wanted to be able to do with this car is track days, which I think it's so well suited to. So far this year, I've done Hethel, Castle Combe, Donington, Abingdon Airfield, and the car is absolutely great. It's now running on Nitron dampers because the old original Conies were getting pretty tired. But it's a great car to own, and I think performance-wise, it's just punches well above its weight for its cost. It's just an Elise with a little bit more, and yeah, I must say I do absolutely love the car.
I'm Andrew Bradbury from the Historic Marathon Rally Group, and we this year have a display of the 4 surviving world escorts from the 1970 World Cup Rally. England won the World Cup in 66. This was defending it in Mexico City in 70, hence the World Cup Rally. And the idea was to drive through every country that was playing football in that tournament. First car is probably the most famous Ford Escort in the world. The car driven by Hannu, Mikkola and Gunnar that did eventually win. The second car here, number 14, driven by a Polish team, Sławomir Zasada and Marek Wachowski. This car, I think, came in 8th position and one of 3 cars built to Ford specification by outside contractors. This one built by British Vita. Third car, this one sadly didn't finish the rally, driven by Richard Hudson Evans and Colin Malkin. was actually in Yugoslavia, hit by a truck coming the other way on the wrong side of the road when the driver of the truck apparently fell asleep, but it was never proven. But it did wipe them out of the rally after only about 4 days. This car was not a Ford entered car, it was privately entered by Doug Harris and Mike Butler of the Black Palfrey Motor Club, and was a 1300 GT. 96 cars finished the event, 23 finished, and this car came in 23rd. So the last car to finish, but as the only car of its class to finish, also won first in class. The car was then bought by Ford and used for publicity all over Europe before being bought back by Mike Butler, rebuilt as a 2-litre, and competed in the 1974 World Cup Rally, which it unfortunately didn't finish.
To this because we wanted to have a bit of an adventure. We'd been on a bit of a toy rally, if you like, and we'd come up with this Peking to Paris rally, which is probably the most difficult, challenging, longest rally that you could do in modern times. And we wanted to do it in an Escort, didn't we?
Yeah, so we applied to do the Peking to Paris, and Philip Young, the guy who organised the event, he told us that we couldn't do it in Escort because it'd never make it. And I think once he realised which Escort it was, we had our place on the rally.
We were in, but we'd never done a rally before, so we had a quick lesson. We found we were very useless, and but set off on what was this 6-week rally with one of the original Wembley to Mexico Escorts. So this is a bit of a special car, but because it crashed on the original rally, and which is why we can actually use it in anger, really. And so, having rebuilt the thing, we took it on a really massive rally, didn't we?
Well, that was the first of several. We've done the Baltic Rally, we've done the Adriatic Rally, we drove from Alaska to Mexico, we did the Pearl of India earlier this year.
Yeah.
We've done about 25,000 miles in it, rallying so far.
And neither of us are either good drivers or good navigators, but the car's so reliable, and because we're a bit resourceful keeping the thing going, we've actually always been top 3, haven't we, one way or another?
Yeah, and we've had the odd incident and a couple of fires.
We've only had 2 fires, and we've had it upside down once, but you know, we still made it through, and we've had some fun, haven't we, really?
Yeah,
Getting
absolutely.
it to Mexico was a bit special. You think it arrived in Mexico exactly 53 years late when we finished. So.
Yeah, but border crossings, you know, there's always challenges, lots of paperwork at borders, and you know.
There's nothing quite like, though, being sideways in an Escort with your best mate. You know, whether you, and the other thing we found, because with endurance rallying you can kind of swap driving and navigating, so we're neither, so we do half and half. But you know what, this is much fun doing the navving, believe it or not, as it is, and it's certainly the most the more important role.
The regularities where it's mind-blowing, the math that you have to do to work out where you should be at what time, and then at the start line they'll change it, and you've spent an hour working out where you should be at the right time. But stages, America was awesome for, you know, we had everything from drag strips, ovals, you know, and the Escort, it is the car. And I think America, we fastest on test was our...
No, you got that. The fastest on test out of all. We were up against 911s, you name it, and
the Escort
came through with us driving as well. I mean, you can't believe it, really.
No.
We've seen bears by the side of the road in Alaska.
Yeah,
it's been unbelievable.
We've been to Hollywood.
We did take it up to Los Angeles Hollywood sign. Got a picture of it in front of the Hollywood sign. Not sure how official that was, but we managed to do that.
No, that's it.
It's been in front of the Taj Mahal.
We've camped in the Mongolian desert. We had to take all our own camping gear. Taj Mahal in India. Unbelievable.
We've rewired the front of the car with an extension lead in Poland
after the
fire. We've been arrested a couple of times for driving it with no back window and a few things like that. It's been an absolute adventure,
and it's been a pleasure, absolute pleasure. Yeah.
So we just think we've been adding to the history of a car that already had a history. And today, the car's just been reunited with its original navigator for the first time in 55 years.
Richard Hudson Evans.
Yeah,
he's signed the car. He's told us some stories about on the World Cup rally in 1970, some parts of South America were at war. As the rally went through, they stopped the war for the rally to come through, and then it resumed.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, what those guys did in 1970, and obviously Hannu, Mikkola and Gunnar Palm. We've met Gunnar Palm as well. He's come out and signed the car. You know, those guys, what they did was heroic. You know, 16,000 miles was it?
Yeah. Without a sat-nav.
With barely any roads, driving full bore, going through countries that some of them never seen a car. I mean, that was bonkers, that rally.
Absolutely.
And that could never happen again.
No.
Nearest thing we could get was P2P, and we thought that was quite
bonkers.
That was bonkers. So anyway, all good stuff.
So we're here at the Rimmer stand at the NEC Classic Car Show. We're new to commercial from sunny Suffolk, like you guys, and we're doing a seat refurbishment afternoon here with Tom Balls. He's going to be fitting some MGB refurbished seats. He's just finished this pair, then we're going to go on to do some Suffolk. So it's great just to be here, just to show them what we can do and celebrate Suffolk's finest.
My name's Richard Lyon, and in partnership with Rex Slubit, one of the original builders of Tudor, the historic dragster here, we brought the car along to the NEC exhibition centre. The car was originally built in 1967 by Dennis Priddle and Rex Slubit, two Cornishmen. They ran it for only 1 year, 1968. In that time, it took the world record up at Elvington Airfield in Yorkshire. It went over to Sweden. It ran the first 8-second quarter-mile time at Santa Pod. And about 6 years ago, with Rex's help and a lot of other people's help, we managed to get it restored back to its 1967 specification. Prior to that, my friend Mick over here and his younger brother, we ran it as old-timer, and it then at that time had a small block Chevy engine in it. We managed to win the RAC Motorsports Association Championship with it twice. Went down to Pall Mall for the presentation to the RAC headquarters, and an excellent evening it was.
Neil Barton. I'm the chairman of the Quattro Owners Club. We are a small club of enthusiasts, and we the club represents all Quattro models. Primarily, our members are made up of owners who own the original Quattro, or the Quattro as it's known. But we welcome all models of Quattro. All right, well, this is a standard Quattro. It's known as a WR model. The Quattro was released in 1980 and at the Geneva Motor Show, and it was primarily built as a rally car. Audi were originally going to produce only 400 for rally homologation purposes, but the car proved to be quite a good seller. This particular car is, I think it's 1984, but it's what's called a WR model. It has the WR 10-valve engine, which produces about 200 horsepower. It's a 10-valve engine with a turbocharger, which was quite unique for that time. They're a really nice car to drive, quite reliable for a classic car, very robust. And yeah, when you get to know the car, it's quite interesting to learn all its features and idiosyncrasies, you know. We've got a lot of enthusiastic members here who actually know more about these cars than I do, and more about their features. Quite often I'm asked about the wheels on these cars, the colour of the wheels. You'll notice that these wheels are actually a similar, if not the same colour to the body. The body colour in this car is Zermatt silver, and the wheels on all the Quattro models were actually Zermatt silver as well. Glenn, you mind if we pop the bonnet? The first idiosyncrasy that I'm noticing about Glenn's car is that it doesn't have gas struts holding up the bonnet. But this is a very original car. The original Quattro model was based on the Audi Coupe GT chassis. There were about 11,000 of these built by the same team over an 11-year period. And what they did, they took the Coupe GT off the production line in Ingolstadt and took it to the Quattro shed and turned them into a Quattro. And that involved fitting the turbocharged engine. It involved fitting the Quattro system, which is quite interesting in itself, because the cars were developed in pretty much secrecy. The engineers of Audi, whose names I can't quite remember right now, the engineers of Audi were actually on a bit of an away day back in the late 70s, and they were driving the Volkswagen Iltis, and they were really impressed with how the Iltis, the four-wheel drive off-road military vehicle, was actually handling in the snow and the wet. And they thought, wouldn't it be a good idea if we built a road-going car that had four-wheel drive? And they didn't have any permission to develop the road-going car, but they had access to the parts and cars that were in the factory. So what they did, they took the rear diff from the Iltis, and they took the front subframe from the Coupe GT and turned it through 180 degrees. They put the Iltis diff on that subframe and matched it up to the rear end of the Coupe GT. They got a prop shaft that fitted, and somehow they then needed to find out how to get the power from what was an inline engine on a front-wheel drive car to this rear diff, which would magically give them four-wheel drive. You'll notice on the Audi, and pretty much every Audi model up until the early 2000s, has the engine inline, but the whole entire engine sits in front of the front axle. And that can cause interesting handling issues. We're just talking earlier on about someone who'd put an early Audi 80 with a 5-cylinder engine into a hedge, and you have to drive them in a very specific manner. So how do we get the power from an inline engine, which is only natural to get the power, to a rear diff? However, this inline engine is connected to the front wheels through a front wheel drive gearbox. So what they did, they came up with a really ingenious idea of making a hollow drive shaft. And we don't actually have a cutaway drawing with us at the moment. It's a really interesting thing because the hollow drive shaft allowed them to take a conventional drive shaft to the rear of the car whilst actually keeping the front drive system as it should be on the front wheel drive car. So you've got the front subframe of a Coupe GT on the rear end with a rear diff from a military vehicle, and you've managed to connect the two together with a prop shaft. And then they decided to try and go on some road tests and see how this thing would handle, and it handled really, really well in the snow. One of the drivers took the car into Vienna, and I think it was actually the wife of one of the drivers took it shopping in Vienna. And she couldn't park the car very well. Reverse parking was a bit of an issue because you've got the rear and front diffs locked together. So they actually pilfered some more parts, and they used the differential from the Audi 50, mounted it on the front wheel drive gearbox, and that gave them a center differential. So it gave them that split between front and rear. So that's where the Audi 50, which became the Volkswagen Polo, actually fits into the Quattro story. Noting that they had a front and rear diff, they thought, wouldn't it be a good idea if we had diff locks? So on the early cars, they had a mechanical diff lock for the front and rear diff. They went through another iteration of which this is a transitional vehicle. This has vacuum operated diff locks, which makes them a bit smoother to operate. You're not clunking the gears. The vacuum does the clunking for you. And then on the later models into the 90s, when they started introducing the twin cam cylinder head, operating the power a little bit, they went to a torque sensitive diff, the Torsen diff. And that would have had a rear diff lock only. That was the only manual diff lock on that car. What else can I say? It's the feeling you get when you drive the Quattro. It's a very special car, especially this particular model, the WR. It's the original engine that Audi intended for this car. It's quite an agricultural feel when you drive it, but it's also a really thrilling experience to drive, you know. My son and I recently took my Quattro up to Knock Hill for a historic rally event, and whilst we weren't breaking any speed limits, we still had quite a spirited drive, and we really enjoyed ourselves, you know. You can go around the corner in this car quicker than you do in a front wheel or a rear wheel drive car, and it just feels so precise, you know. It's a really nice experience to drive. You do have a lot of mass out of the front end, so it can create some exciting driving conditions as well. I believe Jeremy Clarkson actually put one of these into a wall when in the early days, and it's probably due to the fact that you've got this really heavy engine hanging out over the front of the front wheels.